Today we're at the Natural History Museum of Utah, so let's head inside and see what we discover. So we're here. I'm going to only show you all the main dinosaur and life part because that's the part that this channel focuses on. Here we have their active work prep lab. You actually see two people in there, scientists in their wild habitats. They are, this is where they would pull things out of the ground, bring them here, excavate them, pull them out. This is just another prep lab. Here they have a Gyrosaurus, it appears. It's a duck-billed dinosaur. They have part of the ribs, it seems like, right there. Yeah, but this is a beautiful prep lab they have here. So let's just dive on into the Earth lab of the past life exhibit. Already walking in, I can already tell this is going to be amazing. Right off the bat, we have a giant dinosaur footprint recovered from Utah, probably a duck-billed type from the Cretaceous. A lot more rounded. You got the pointed back for those duck bills. And right here, we have the famous Loki ceratops, one of the more famous new age ceratopsians that we have. It actually is one of the first things you get in the new Jurassic World Evolution game because that's how popular it's gotten. Giant flat beak here, two protruding horns, crest horns going out, holes in the head here. Paleontologists recently discovered a new species of ceratopsian dinosaur, cousin to the Triceratops. Loki ceratops rangiformis is named after the Norse god Loki, hence the name Loki ceratops. The horns of Loki ceratops frill are uneven, like caribou antlers, which is why the second part of the name is rangiformis. Loki ceratops had a large body and more decorative frill than any of the closest relatives. While scientists are unsure why the dinosaur had these dazzling skull ornaments, studying their variety helps them understand the great diversity of horned dinosaur. So this Loki ceratops, cousin of Triceratops, likely meaning it is a chasmosaur, if I'm not mistaken. Huge orbital right here. Get close to this. Try to show how much larger that beak is than other like ceratopsians. Other ceratopsians usually have just the smaller beak. This one's very wide and flat. These very decorative ornaments. And then we come over here, right next to it is the Green River Formation. A lot of the fossils we've seen since Wyoming and Kemmer. Get close, show some of these fossils. We have a lot of these large fish fossils and the less common, I don't see any gars here, sadly. I do love gars, but we do have some of those, I'm blanking on what these are called. Stingrays. I don't know why I couldn't remember stingrays. Here we have some kind of big old beak fish. Oh, there's a gar up there. I was wrong. There's a gar up there. This is a beautiful display showing a lot of the variety of Green River Formation. If we focus in on this one, this is a very weird looking fish there. I can't tell if its skull exploded or if it's eating something. It's right about the Chasmosaurians. Beautiful stingray display. We have a lot. This really shows the variety in the Green River Formation, where you have small fish from there to just massive apex fish in the water. Then we're going to come over here. A few probably can't show that. Muskox antlers, things like that. Mammoth tusks, Post-dinosaur, mammoth skulls, smilodon skulls, go quick here. Giant mastodon lower jaw. Over here we have one of those ancient musk ox that we saw like in BYU, that would have been in Utah during the time. If we turn around here, we get fossil lakes. So we have the early crocodilians that would have been in the lakes here. Those very early crocodilians, not early, but still there. These are post-dinosaurs technically. We have the giant fish that you would find. Over here, it's actually very pleased that they included this. We have one of those three-toed horse that would have fallen to the bottom of the lake from up, I guess this is supposed to be the top of the lake. And we got alligators, big old garfish. I'd love to steal that garfish, but I won't touch it, sadly. We have turtles, a lot of little fish, more turtles here, big old alligator, and that little three-toed ancient horse that would have been native to North America. If we come around here, we have some of the plants of the Green River Formation. These are very beautiful plant specimens that are found. Again, a lot like the modern plants we see today, oaks, ferns, things like that, angiosperms, all kinds of things like that that you find. A lot like the modern day, because the Green River Formation is a very modern formation. Then we get to come around here. We walk around this part. Ooh, is there a display over here? No, we'll show these. We have a lot of these very smaller Green River, little tinier mammals here. They're going to be very difficult to see. I'll try and show these off the best I can. You actually see some of these. Very, very tiny specimens that you find. I'm not going to go into insane detail about those. Here, the display is on the other side. We'll get to that in a second. But we go up here to actually the Gore King with Lythranax, which is actually a very interesting dinosaur. I don't remember where I put the ticket, but this is actually the dinosaur. If you get close there, this is the artwork that they show. I really don't know where I put my ticket, so I guess we can't leave and come back. But we have Lythranax argus. We have the skull right here, right there. It's a very beautiful skull. You can see it's closely related to Tyrannosaurs. They have that very robust bottom jaws, those huge robust teeth for biting. We have the rest of the body there that would have been similar to Tyrannosaurs but smaller. Research on a new dinosaur discovered, including, found it. This is actually the art that they use. Lythranax is one of their calling cards, it appears. Utah's Grand Staircase documented dinosaurs. We have Diabloceratops, Utah Pterosaurs, Gyrosaurus, Hygrophus, Cosmoceratops, Macrioceratops, Teratephalus, Nasutoceratops, Talos, and Adiolophus. Plus, I'm guessing this beautiful Lythranax, the Gore King. Beautiful, awesome name. If you want to stop there and think about that. New finds like Lythranax are always exciting, but the excitement doesn't end with discoveries of fossils. Paleontologists study new species to test hypotheses and generate new ones about the past world. Paleontologists compared fossils of Lythranax to those of all other known tyrannosaurs, bringing their focus into a new picture on how this group diversified and spread across different continents during the late Cretaceous. So this is a beautiful example. I want to show off, you have that thick, robust jaw there. I don't really know how I can. You have the holes there, plus the holes up there, and in the jaw there, that would be there. That would help be muscle attachment. You have these robust teeth for piercing, like other early tyrannosaurs. You have that very nice crest there that you would see. It's actually a very beautiful recreation of a life one here. You can see some of that crest there, probably for display. Some quilling or if possible feathering is a beautiful touch always. It's a very modern theory with there, but Yeah, Lythornax is just one of the recent dinosaurs discovered. You'll see in the museum since 1998. Paleontologists have been unearthing more than a dozen new dinosaurs in Utah's Grand Staircase Escalate National Monument. And remarkable dinosaurs like our beautiful Lythornax here. You can tell it's a Tyrannosaur. One of the dead giveaways. I always love pointing this out. Small hands, 2 fingers, technically 3 because they have this little digit back here, but it's not a full digit. It doesn't extend, so it doesn't count as a full digit. But this is just a beautiful dinosaur, the Gore King. Here we have the Copomeroids diversity. This is very late Cretaceous. The fossils in this case have been found since 2000, when the museum began to work in the rocks from the Copomeroids formation. The bird-like Hygrophus gigantus was one of the many newly discovered species when named. Looking for skulls of adult duck-billed dinosaurs plus the skeleton of an unlucky young one. Soft river silt preserved prints of dino skin. We found tyrannosaurs, lots of turtles, alligator jaws, big enough to crush dinosaurs, and much more. So here we have some of those crocodiles, those turtle shells. Here we have some of the hadrosaur material with the bone of the jaw there, it appears. That might not be a hadrosaur, it might be. I think this is that little juvenile they were talking about. They have some legs of this ornithomimid here. A big old jaw of what appears to be a tyrannosaur. Maybe a, that's definitely a claw of a more ornithomimid dinosaur. We do have a lot of hadrosaur material right here with turtle shells. And we have some vertebrae right there. Got dinosaur sounds on here. So here, showing the floor, it looks like they've laid down pretty much a Gyrosaurus right here in the ground. This is some of the skeleton here. Right here we have some of the vertebra with the ribs. Actually, no, those are neural arcs if I'm not mistaken. Over here we have some ribs. We have some more vertebra right here, leg bones, part of the scapula it looks like. Maybe some skin impression and just rock here. But it looks like they just laid it down right in the ground. This is so cool. But if we come here, we actually see the skull of this thing, and it looks a lot like the Rhino Rex we've seen before. Giant snout here, giant duck-billed, weird nose bulge, dental battery, massive dental battery. Just giant chunks of bone of all of these creatures all around. Is absolutely amazing. Here we have some more leaf and plant specimens giving us a insight into what the ecosystem looks like. But this Gyrosaurus, we discovered this nearly complete dinosaur fossil at the end of a 3-mile hike. It wasn't easy to move it. We saw it and chiseled the sandstone. We hauled plaster and water on our backs. We carefully wrapped every specimen, and it took a helicopter to move the biggest bones. It was worth all of the effort. This Gyrosaurus has features we rarely get to study. Its tail and part of the spine fit together as they did in life, with lots of scaly skin still intact. So you can actually see some of the skin on these creatures, which is a very rare thing because that means it would have been mummified. If we come over here, actually, you can see some of that skin right here, some of the scale, it looks like right here, just fully on display. That's very awesome. Then we'll come around to their life display of these creatures. Big old alligator right here, right there. Little monitor lizard here. Here we have the bone of a Utah ceratops, it looks like, a tooth of a tyrannosaurid, some eggshells. Get close to this, you have that tooth of a tyrannosaurid right there, some eggshells, the fibia of a Utah ceratops, and here we have a dromaeosaurid tooth. We have that giant croc right there that would have existed in Utah. We have some beautiful more plant fossils here. We have a snake there, a very pretty looking snake I might add. Then when we come around here on this side, we get some of those remains showing off what the ecosystem would have looked like with some kind of Chasmosaurian dinosaur right here, this big frill. This is likely a Utahraptor, which is why they're showing it. You have that, or not ornithomimid, but dromaeosaurid right there. Very beautiful, colorful crest, giant kill claw right there. Just scavenging, tearing away. Here we have some more vertebrae of fish and fish vertebra, a lot of fish. Some skull fragments from a ray-finned fish. Here we have a giant bulge of some kind of other fish. I want to probably say this is a turtle shell, actually. This is a turtle shell. And here we have a Champsosaurus vertebra, which is another giant, like, aquatic creature. So we're going to come around here to, ooh. I don't smell anything. I don't smell it. It might be. Yeah, but whatever. I mean, that happens. But we have this beautiful Chamaerosaurus, not Chamaerosaurus, Chasmosaurian dinosaur. Chamaerosaurus was late Jurassic with sauropods. Here we have our Gyrosaurus or Gyrosaurus, just in full completeness. But before we get to that, let's talk about the North Horn Formation with a lot of the dinosaurs. The late Cretaceous was a time of change. Rising mountains turned Utah's seaside plains into valleys, and 65.5 million years ago, all dinosaurs except birds died out. Rocks from Utah's North Horn Formation spans the period from 70 to 55 million years ago. Its lower, older layers hold dinosaur fossils, and its younger layers preserve some of the oldest fossils from the age of mammals. We have bones from the first Tyrannosaurus rex found in Utah. Alamosaurus bones shown that long-necked dinosaurs lived here too. So here, do they have the Alamosaurus in this display? It does not appear so, but we do. Number 5, where's number 5? Here's number 6. I think this is some of the Alamosaurus here, which is a titanosaur that existed from Texas up to Utah and things like that. And I think that's it over there that we'll show off later. I'm really excited to show that off because it's not every day. North America doesn't have a lot of titanosaurs, surprisingly. We don't have a lot of sauropods post-Jurassic. We were actually very thin, but I'm pretty sure this is from Titanosaur. I think they have like one tailbone. I think these are from some ceratopsians and things like that. I think this is part of a ceratopsian frill. The little numbering system is very confusing here. But here we have the grand Tyrannosaurus rex, the king of the dinosaurs, the thick, robust, powerful jaws for lots of muscle attachment, these huge, piercing, crushing teeth, giant eye holes, giant nasal cavity, giant extra skull hole for that because they're diapsids for muscle attachment to help pierce. We have this tooth here. I think this is actually their one bone of actually that's a hadrosaurid. Go figure. Well, we have a lot of T-Rex vertebra. We have part of the leg back there. Let me show some of this off. We have part of the leg back there. Part of a tail, it looks like right there. That long spinal cord looking area is a tail. Here we have some neck vertebra of Tyrannosaurs. That's 1, 3, 4. I really don't see their number 5, which is disappointing. Is this their number 5? That's their number 2. Wow, yeah, their numbering system is a little... Oh, back there. Just spotted it. Back there, that is a bone from Alamosaurus, showing that they would have existed in the Cretaceous during the reign of T-Rex, meaning that there were titanosaurs and giant sauropods and things like that that existed during that time. Here Like we've been seeing, Gyrosaurus, Eurosaurus. I'm going to call it Eurosaurus because it's G-R-Y-O, like Euro, Greek. We have a full specimen of one here. You can see it in all of its Hadrosaurian beauty. Here, the skull is probably going to be very difficult to get to, so I'm going to have to do this mess. Get closer. You can see its beautiful dental battery, the part of the knob of the nose there that kind of arches down to the duckbill. Very, very famous calling card of the hadrosaurs. You have these massive dental batteries for just shearing away at pure plant and things like that. These massive creatures existed in great abundance during the Cretaceous period. These likely would have been in giant herds along with most other hadrosaurs of their kind. But this is a beautiful, complete specimen here. We're going to go along here, and we're going to get to a lot of the ceratopsians. We're going to start seeing a lot more ceratopsians, but back there we have, I cannot read that sign worth nothing, Ankylocephalus, which is an ankylosaur of some kind. You can see it has this massive osteoderms on its back, and it's closely related to ankylosaur because you have that giant club tail on the end of its tail. I'll try and take some better pictures. That club tail there. I might throw those up on screen, but it's a very difficult shot to take. But you can see they have that giant club tail right over there, and you follow it up and you get to those massive osteoderms that would be there. And it actually has some very unique neck armor. Its skull is a lot more famous ankylosaurian-like, closely related there. There's that name for y'all if y'all can read that. But yeah, it's a beautiful specimen right there. Behind it, we have the famed Parasaurolophus. I'll go over that in more detail when we get up on that walkway there. But here, we get to see more of some ceratopsians. Here we have a lot of, actually, here we have the Euroceratops lower jaw with the giant dental battery. We have some Ankylosaurus plate armor or armor from there. Then we have Utahraptor's nasal little beak with some teeth there. So we come around here. I don't know why it's facing the wall. That actually makes it very sad. This and that are both, well, this is actually a juvenile Utahraptor. That is an adult Utahraptor. They are seeming Chasmosaurian-like, if I'm not mistaken. Get close to this skull here so we can see some of the beautiful skull designs. They have that beautiful crest with a kind of dent in the top. You see that there with those giant crests. These are Chasmosaurian-like dinosaurs, meaning that they likely would have been more solitary versus the Centrosaurians, which tend to be the ceratopsians in the giant herds like Pachyrhinosaurus, Centrosaurus, things like that. We'll go over that a lot more whenever we get to their giant wall. We'll not show that off. Cool. Oh, I guess we're showing that off. A little sneak peek there. But these are Utahraptor, one of the named after, surprise, surprise, Utah, found in Utah, hence name Utahraptor. Very small. 3 horns, two over the 2 brow horns, 1 nasal horn. They got, in terms of dinosaurs and ceratopsians, they were relatively small, but in terms of animals in general, they got relatively big. Here, if we look here, we actually have the foot of one, along with some more appearing to be Ankylosaurus osteoderms there. This appears to also be part of an ankylosaur. You have some Pachycephalosaurus material here. We have part of the dome there. We have the foot of a Hypsilophodont and another foot of a Hypsilophodont. Those are very small dinosaurs, very tiny. But this is a beautiful juvenile Utahraptor here. Here we have one of the more rare specimen in species that follow along that are primarily in Asia. These are the Therizinosaurs. You get close, show these massive, massive claws. These are like their calling card. They have these very robust bodies. Show that body real quick. They have these very robust bodies with these massive, absolutely massive killer claws. This is Northocyrus, and this is Phalocurius. These are the two Therizinosaurs that were found in North America, if I'm not mistaken. They are weird because they come from the theropod lineage, which are mostly they're mostly carnivorous, but these ones became herbivorous. Can't speak today. So you see, they have these very thin teeth that would have been for plants, possibly omnivorian, eating. Thought to be Dinosaurs, which is actually an ornithopod, or a ornithomimid, so I'm not even going to bring that up. But these things could have possibly been also omnivorian. They come over here to show the size and scale of these huge things. I mean, these things are massive. They could swing those massive claws and rip you apart. These two odd dinosaurs found in Utah are Therizinosaur descendants of predatory dinosaurs with body shapes that help them eat plants. Phalocurius, the smaller one, the smaller and more primitive, it has the body of a carnivore but the head of a herbivore and teeth of a herbivore. Northocyrus looks more like a plant eater and less like a carnivore, with its bigger body, bigger belly, wider hips, and partial beak at the front of its mouth. So if we get here, you can actually try and extend this, show y'all. You see some of that partial beak there that you're getting, and those teeth are a lot more herbivorous. You get these huge, wider hips that indicate herbivory, these huge, robust bodies that are more herbivorous. These claws are likely for tearing up roots and plants and things like that, but could have also 100% used them for defense. But we turn right here, we get to the Cedar Mountain Formation with a lot of very more common dinosaurs. Peek into the beginning of the Cretaceous. Rocks from Utah's Cedar Mountain Formation preserve fossils from 125 to 95 million years ago. During this time, sea levels were rising and flowering plants appeared. The types of dinosaurs in North America were changing. These fossils tell stories of the transition. Cedar Mountain fossils include 10 types of sauropod, those long neck, stupendously large plant eaters that soon disappear from North America for a time. We see early ancestors of duck-billed dinosaurs too. As for meat eaters, Utahraptor was a huge indicator. We have the giant toe of a Utahraptor down there. You have the giant foot of a Utahraptor. And its cousins evolved and replaced Allosaurus, the Jurassic Allosaurus, the Jurassic smaller equivalent of Tyrannosaurus rex as top predator. I disagree with that. I think they should change that to Torvosaurus being the equivalent to T-Rex of the Jurassic. Allosaurus is its just own different breed. You actually get Carcharodontosaurids in the late Jurassic. They're very tiny, like Tyrannosaurids, but Carcharodontosaurids are the Allosauruses of the Cretaceous. But we have some beautiful mammal specimens here. We have some foot claws of ornithomimid kind of looking, or actually Therizinosaurs. Surprise, surprise. We have some foot fossils and part of a face there. 10 is, where is 10 here? We have the jaw of a brachiosaurid right here, of a brachiosaurid right there. Here at 12, we have a titanosaur. Same with 22 is a fossil tree trunk. 17 here is an iguana colossus. We have 18 as a Gastonia, which is one of those early not ceratopsians. I don't know why I keep calling everything a ceratopsian or a ornithomimid, but a early ankylosaur. Here at 21, we have another Ankylosaurus femur there. We have some more osteoderms there. We have some jaw muscles of Hippodraco, along with some jaws of, I think I called this jaw muscles, but that's just the jawbone. But we have the skull and jaw of Hippodraco, Iguanodontitan, and ornithopod dinosaurs there. Some tail vertebra there. But this is a beautiful display showing the early Cretaceous with the Cedar Mountain, where you get those early dinosaurs like Gastonia. You get some of the last sauropods and Utahraptor. Here, I'm skipping a bit of the Jurassic stuff right now, but we'll go back and do that because I just wanted to get this cool shot. We have one of the most beautiful displays in this, in my opinion, of this museum. We have the Ceratopsian family lineage tree. So we have two over there that we'll get, that I'll throw something up on screen. They're the basal ones. That is Zuniceratops and Protoceratops. Those are your very early ceratopsians that you see. You have those very early ceratopsians over here. That's Protoceratops, Zuniceratops. Those are your very, very early basal ceratopsians that are your earliest tree. Or don't. But here you can actually see a lot of the other ceratopsians of the time. At the top there, you have a lot of the pachyrhinosaurs, like that. On this side, from right about here up, right above me, you have your Chasmosaurians. There's a lot more than what's on display, but you have Triceratops at the very top, the only one with the filled-in horn, with the filled-in frill. You have Anchiceratops right to the left of it, or for y'all probably the right. Right here at number 10, if y'all can see that, you have Cosmoceratops. Here at number 11, you have the Chouelian ceratops. These are your Chasmosaurians. 12, you have Chasmosaurus, the famous, what the Chasmosaurians are named after. These are your larger, solitary, more solitary ceratopsians that don't tend to live in large herds. These are the ones that you'll see often alone. So 12 over, your split will be kind of right here. Then over here, you get your Centrosaurian dinosaurs. The Centrosaurian dinosaurs are the ones that tend to be the ones in herds. So 7 over are the ones that are in your herds. So starting at number 7, you have Diabloceratops right here. Number 6, you have Nasutoceratops, discovered by Eric Lund, which I got to interview him, so go check that out. Up there at number 3, you have your Ankylosaurus horni, which is closely related to your number 2 dinosaur, Pachyrhinosaurus, famous in the northern regions from Alaska to Alberta to Montana. You find Pachyrhinosaurus in these giant, giant herds. Then coming down at number 1 there, you have Inoceratops. At number 5 here, you have your Centrosaurus, which the namesake of Centrosaurian dinosaurs come from, or the Centrosaurian ceratopsians. And at number 4, we have my personal favorite ceratopsian and my personal favorite Centrosaurian dinosaur. I'm gonna let y'all get close to these. The Styracosaurus, famous for its one giant frill horn, those giant openings and those giant frills. You have your Centrosaurian dinosaurs here. Try and lean back so you can get all these. You have those Centrosaurian dinosaurs. I think I skipped number 7, but this is our Diabloceratops. Very thin crested here. Those giant protruding horns make it look like a devil, so that's why it gets the name. These are your ceratopsians that tend to be more in herds. Get y'all a cool view of right here. These are the ones that tend to be in herds, that will be in the massive herds that travel together. I think the most famous one is your Pachyrhinosaurus. You get the giant riverbed sediments that flooded them over and washed the whole herd out. But you have your giant, beautiful split between Chasmosaurian dinosaurs. Take this back again. Of your Chasmosaurian dinosaurs here, which are the solitary ones on this side That is the lineage of Triceratops. You have Torosaurus, that would be in there too, a cousin taxa to Triceratops. You have your famous Chasmosaur. You have your other Centrosaurians, which are, to review, those are your famous herd ones that live in the giant herds. And that is namesaked by this fella here, the Centrosaurus. Now I'm just going to show off that Styracosaurus one more time because that's my favorite dinosaur. Then over here, you have your early ceratopsians. That would be Zuniceratops and Protoceratops kind of hidden off to the side. These are your early age ones that turn into all of these. You can kind of see the connection down there. They're very early. So you follow their lineage down to here. They didn't directly turn into it, but their ancestors would have split off. So you get the Zuni, Protoceratops. Then you split, this split would be Centrosaurs, Chasmosaurs. Reviewing, there's your Chasmosaurs. You go back down here, there's your Centrosaurs. Here we have a display in the namesake of the Jurassic, a Allosaurus fragilis hunting a Barosaurus. So these are my two personal favorite dinosaurs. We have the beautiful Allosaurus hunting the Barosaurus. Try and get its neck and head. I have no idea how you're going to do that. This thing is massive. So you have the Allosaurus lineage. Get close here. With you have the most likely the mama here with some juveniles, younger ones that are pouncing onto the Barosaurus' side. If they did that, I really don't know the science behind that. There's a huge possibility they did. This is a beautiful juvenile specimen of Allosaurus fragilis. Again, you can tell it's Allosaurus fragilis by if you get close here, you can tell it's Allosaurus fragilis. You have a bit of that thicker jaw and a little bit more pronounced crest. It's a little more difficult with juveniles because they're not fully developed, but you can totally see that on the adult over here. If we look here, you can see it too. A bit of that thicker jaw, a little bit of that more pronounced, or actually less pronounced crest, I think, than Jimodazin. This is a little puzzle to have. That's awesome. We have all of these juvenile, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 juvenile Allosauruses hunting a massive Barosaurus. In my opinion, the least represented sauropod of the Jurassic, with the mama here. There's a lot of evidence for pack behaviors in regards to Allosaurus. I, again, would like to put that theory out that Fragilis is likely the ones that hunted all the sauropods, it's not Styracosaurs, Stegosaurs, bullied away Ceratosaurs, things like that. If you get close here, you can actually see the Allosaurus over there pouncing on the back or the side of the Barosaurus, probably tearing at its spine. This is actually an interesting hunting method and could explain why they have those very unique, weirdly curved claws, is that they would latch onto the sides of Barosaurus and get that really cool shot right there for me for later. They would be jumping on the sides or something, probably only when they were younger. Unlikely for when they were adults. They probably would have been too big for that. But as young, they probably would have stuck together because they would have been vulnerable. In the older ages, it's a little harder to decide whether they would broke up, which is why I think tribalism would be a thing within them, similar to modern day lions, where you would get Allosaurus fragilis groups like this. This is particularly a family that would specialize in hunting sauropods versus stegosaurs or dryosaurs or camptosaurus, things like that. So this appears to be a lineage or a tribe of Allosaurs that would be hunting a Barosaur, or specialized in hunting Barosaurs and sauropods. So Allosaurus fragilis getting those really robust jaws like that could explain that they are the hunters. Jimodazin might have been more of a scavenger than fragilis here, but I think this is a beautiful display. If we come this way, first off, I want to show the inside of the ground here. They have another display like this. You see lots of jaws of Allosaurus. I think that's a Stegosaurus backplate right there. That might be a Stegosaurus backplate. You have a giant sauropod leg bones. Lots of just discombobulated bones here. Lots of vertebra, lots of ribs, good jaws and things like that here. Lots of specimen here. We have these very beautiful display right on the ground that you get to walk over, which I think is a very interesting way of displaying things. You get to show some of this off here. Here we have some very beautiful jaws and things like that just right on display. Most likely a giant flash flood or riverbed that tore apart these creatures and buried them rapidly. If we then follow this later on, here we have a beautiful shot of the Barosaurus' side here with this Allosaurus pouncing on it. Again, this young juvenile here pouncing on it could again explain those grippy claws. But if we turn around here, we get a lot of the namesakes of the Jurassic. Here we have Allosaurs here that appear to be there. Well, actually, this is Allosaurus fragilis. You get that thick cross, a little bit of the nub there. This is actually Marchaeosaurus. So it's a little bit more elongated. It has a bit of the crest kind of laid down, thick jaws here, similar to Allosaurus. Here we have the very robust skull of a Ceratosaurus, another very famous smaller predator from the Jurassic, famous for their 3 horns, where they get that name, horned lizard, Ceratosaurus. Here we have the bruiser of the Jurassic, the not Tarbosaurus, Torvosaurus. I don't know why I'm getting all my dinosaurs confused. These things are definitely the bruisers. They got that giant hole for muscle attachment, very thick, large teeth. So we got our swift killer, our bruiser, and our little bit more drag out a-hole there, for lack of better words. Actually, we have Taniocolagarus right there, a smaller, more probably scavenger for the time, but a very aggressive dinosaur. Up here we have Camarasaurus, a very abundant sauropod during the Jurassic, part of the Macronarian line, which is where you get Brachiosauruses, Camarasauruses, things like that. Here we have a Stegosaurus skull, so you have that beak, those teeth there, that beak and teeth there. Number 25 here is Barosaurus, again, my personal favorite sauropod. I think the sauropod that gets the least amount of recognition. 27 appears to be missing, sadly. 26 is Camptosaurus, one of those smaller little ornithopods that would have been quicker. You have Camptosaurus, that would have been the little quicker one that would have been chased, and a little bit of the easier prey for Allosaurs, Ceratosaurs, and Torvosaurus here. You have that giant alligator down there with some chunks of turtle. Get that shot. Some chunks of turtle right in front of it. Here we have actually I think these are Allosaur bones from very young to very old Allosaurus fragilis. So you get the full lineage to see how they would have grown. I think that's very beautiful. We also get a lot of Allosaurus here. I think 13 is, I'm trying to find it, is up there, is the rib of a sauropod dinosaur, but the rest of this is all Allosaurus, so you have part of the hip, some leg bones. Actually 20 and 21 are actually Camarasaurus. Those are both Camarasaurus. The rest is Allosaurus. I keep saying that, except for that. That's also a sauropod. We have some vertebra, some hip, some finger, some things like that. A lot more Allosaurus fragilis material. Hips, fingers, ribs, legs, things like that are broken apart. To show that these things are very predatory, very, very prone to damage because they're hunting absolute giants like this Barosaurus here. Then if we come around here, we get a beautiful example of what would most likely have been, well, here, right here, we have the Barosaurus whip-like tail, similar to the Diplodocid family. This massive whip-like tail that comes all the way around. But here we have what appears to be a post-death like fight here. So we have this Stegosaurus here on the ground with the Thagomizers down there. You can try and show those. This might be a little bit smaller there. But here we have Marchaeosaurus, one of the smaller theropods of the Jurassic here, coming up against Ceratosaurus here. They would both come here, fight over this Stegosaurus, likely not to the death, but if it was to the death, then you would have the remains of one, but they would kind of try and scare each other off. The Ceratosaurus would probably take the cake here, being bigger, more robust skull, larger teeth, swifter killers, 4 fingers for some reason. They're very primitive with that, apparently, those primitive 4 fingers. I think this is a beautiful display showing what some of this Jurassic ecosystem would be like with things like that. I think Ceratosaurus is more of a swift killer. I do agree with Dr. Brian Curtis with those very elongated teeth, most likely going for the neck or the jugular to swiftly kill. I actually haven't looked at Martiasaurus a lot, but as the smaller Jurassic theropod, it likely would have been, it's fairly small in compared to your bruisers like Torvosaurus, your swift killer like Ceratosaurus, and your just commando like Allosaurus. But that doesn't mean that they weren't there, they weren't good, they didn't survive long. They were actually surprisingly successful from what I know, but they are smaller, probably a bit more of a scavenger than the others, since being smaller in that ecosystem would have likely meant that they are needing to kind of run in and steal meat. If we come to this side real quick, we can show this other side of this beautiful, most likely mother Allosaurus fragilis here. It has those, the gastralia of the bottom rib there. Beautiful display there. Thick bottom jaw, very robust crest here. I think this is a very beautiful display. You can get very close to this Allosaurus specimen right here, and I think that's very cool. Here we have our Ornithomimus, which is actually one of the ostrich-like dinosaurs. If you look at this thing next to an ostrich, aside from the wings and the skull, and of course the tail, they look surprisingly similar in body structure, which is also another evidence of why birds come from dinosaurs. But they have these very long legs here, these very long, luscious legs for running fast. They have this very long snake-like neck. They kind of got a beak, so they're omnivorous. They could eat berries, nuts, little lizards, smaller things, eggs. They're very quick, very fast. Then we come over here to Parasaurolophus, which is one of the most famous hadrosaurs. This one is specifically, trying to read this backwards, Chrysoceratops. One of the biggest giveaways is actually, I have this, the crest here is very arched down instead of up and out like most other famous, like the other famous Parasaurolophus is usually displayed as. There we have the ankylosaurid there. We already talked about that. If we turn around here, we have Brachychampisa, which is a tiny little crocodilian with, these are tons of scutes, which are kind of like osteoderms, but it's just the skin and bone that's a little thicker and a little denser. This is a very beautiful replica and specimen. If we come up here a little more, first I want to show off our beautiful Griposaurus again, the beautiful Griposaurus. A lot of the specimen we know of, they found a big patch of skin right under the neck. This may be in the episode, it may not. Big patch of skin under its neck. That's like the turkey, like how turkeys have, like a turkey gobbler kind of thing. That would have been here. Here we actually have a very speculative dinosaur. Never mind. This is Hagriphysis, Hagriphysis, which I actually thought was Onzu for a second. Onzu is not known from the skull, but this thing would probably be closely related to Onzu, which again looks like this, found in the Hell Creek. Has that beak, has that weird, oops, sorry, didn't mean to blind you there. Top of the skull there with the crest there. Very weird turkey bird, these giant claws that really don't look like they belong to this thing if you ask me. But then we get onto one of the largest creatures of the time. is the Dinosaur. This is one of the biggest top predators. This massive, robust skull, found in the same place as Parasaurolophus and Gryposaurus, and all of the many ceratopsians there. This is one of the biggest crocodilians ever found. You see all those massive scoots on the back. Can't really read that from here. But you have those giant scoots on the back. This thing would have lunged out of the water, gripped onto Parasaurolophus or Gryposaurus and pulled them into the water. Giant, robust jaws, almost as strong, if not as strong as T-Rex, maybe a little bit stronger even. Those huge, giant, sprawling limbs. Not a dinosaur, it is a crocodilian. Here we have a dromaeosaurid. This is a beautiful replica of a dromaeosaurid. You have this very weirdly elongated fingers, which were probably for grappling or gripping onto prey. You have the sickle toe claws there, the famous calling card of the dromaeosaur, that kill claw there. You have this smaller jaws, very small, turkey-like, chicken-sized dinosaur. Back there we have bear with me while I try to read their nameplate. We have juvenile and adult Utahraptor, which is a tyrannosaur. You can see its skull there. Similar to Lythornax down there, they have that little crest on the top of their skull there. Beautiful representation of possible sexual dimorphism. The adult is obviously larger. You can tell they're tyrannosaurs. They have the two fingers on their claws, the two large finger claws. Their skulls are getting more robust. Their jaws are getting more robust. Their teeth are getting larger. Yeah, the legs, the bottom part of the legs look a little bit longer, so those might have actually been pursuit predators and not ambush predators like Tyrannosaurus. Then we come to the Eocene with our Unitatherium and Patriophilus, which is like a weird beaver muskrat thing, and our horse, little horse kind of a rhino mixed breed. They're closely related to horses, but not really. They're not true rhinos. They have the bulbs in their skull, which actually makes them non-rhinos. Up here we have this little bird here. We've actually skipped a couple. They had an Archaeopteryx over there. You could probably barely make it out over the Barosaurus. They have another dinosaur, little flying pterosaur thing right there. Not pterosaur, but avian dinosaur. If we get here, we actually get to see the top of the Green River Formation. We have a lot of these birds here. We have this Nothoceros, which is a little primate thing. If you look down, you can see our monitor lizard, or crocs, not monitor lizard, sorry. Our crocs here, you have your big old garfish right there. And you have the little birds that would have been here that could have possibly fallen into the water, drown, and then be buried. As we keep going, we're getting more into the modern age, where we have some of the more modern dinosaurs, mammals. Pardon my intrusion there. We have the mammoth, or the adult Columbian mammoth, discovered here in Utah. You get these, they're not as woolly as woolly mammoths, so they get a different name. You have this tiny, I can't read some of these signs, baby Columbian mammoth. I could have probably guessed that. They have that very weird skull. Their tusks haven't come in yet. You have Smilodon fatalis with those giant, huge canines that would have been for swift killing, going for the jugular, of course. Right here, we have Arctodon simus, or the short-faced bear, one of the largest bears. Its face is a little shorter, hence the name short-faced bear. Duh. These giant digits, these giant paws. It could probably stand up like most modern bears, slashing at you with those giant claws here. Then we have here one of the most interesting things, Bison latifrons, or the giant bison, or Ice Age bison. You have these massive horns that are compared to modern bison. The rest of them looks a lot like modern bison. They have those huge neck muscles, or those huge dorsal spines that would have attached muscle, probably for the neck to help with headbutting and things like that. If we come back over here, we actually have a dire wolf here, or Canis dirus, or dire wolf. These things, as far as I'm aware, they're not directly related to wolves, but they are closely related to wolves. I think they're more closely related to jackals, if I'm not mistaken, but they are still canines. And here we have Paramylodon, or the giant ground sloth, or just the giant sloth. They are digging creatures. You can tell by those massive claws. Their burrows have been found in like North Carolina. You'll find these giant burrow holes. They have this really weird looking face, giant short face. Very robust hips, very thick bones, very wide gut. They're herbivorous. They're very slow moving. Most likely to just stay in one area for a lot of their life and eat what they can and leave it at that. As we kind of transfer back over here, we have our beautiful bison. If we look here, we have arrowheads and spearheads from the people that would have been around to hunt these creatures. Beautiful indications. I don't think any of this is, oh no, these are in having mammoth points. This one is Clovis point. This one right here. I think most of these are probably Clovis point or closely related to Clovis point. Clovis point is whenever people first entered North America, sorry, my bad. Across the land bridge from Alaska and Russia, they would have walked from the Middle East kind of area up through Siberia into Alaska, and then they came here. Eventually that land bridge disappears. But Clovis point refers to the first point whenever you actually see human interaction in the Americas. Here we actually can see into some of their collections warehouse. Right here they have this beautiful Nasutoceratops and direwolf right on display right here. But if you just look down through there, you can see all of the amazing things they have on just in their collections. This is amazing. Here we look into another part of their collections. You have some giant, possibly sauropod vertebra there with some jacketed fossils still there, and this amazing Pentaceratops skull. Tell with that giant U shape and those giant holes and those horns there. This amazing in look on what storage of these massive fossils and everything in a museum would look like. Here they actually have some fossils in their lobby that if you look at them, you have some giant crocodilian looking fossils with some more that look like they're from the Green River Formation. You have a lot of fish up there, and then you have some things that look like crocs as you go farther down. And then you have this massive nautiloid right there with a trackway of what appears to be maybe a crocodilian, maybe a theropod right there. But this is awesome. This is a beautiful museum, and if you get the chance to come check it out. This is a beautiful museum. You have this amazing view of downtown Salt Lake if you look that way with the mountains in the distance. I don't think you can see the lake from here. I think it's more tucked away. You probably see a bit of it. But you have this beautiful view. This is a beautiful museum. If you get the chance to come out, make sure you come out and support it. It's an awesome museum with a lot of awesome exhibits. I'm mainly focusing on the paleo, so if you want to see the rest, you got to come here. But I hope you all enjoyed this episode. I'm your host, Eric Crawford. This has been the Prehistoric Life Podcast. Remember, keep it prehistoric.